Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Trackmania. We're at episode number 16 here today. I mean, me personally, I looked at that number and got a little bit surprised. I'm like, wow, we've been here so many times now. This is amazing. But welcome everyone. I am your host, TMScotsman, being joined either on the left side or the right side by the beautiful man, LuckersTurbo. Once again today, I suppose the new dynamic duo reuniting for yet another episode of Trackmania Talking. Today, some of our kind of messages we're going to be talking about, or topics rather, that we're going to be talking about, the topical topics of today, are the likes of a possible identity crisis in Trackmania at the moment, and also, of course, recent events, things like Twitch Rivals, also Trackmania Formula League, Trackmania Grand League as and where we can, of course, and see where that leaves us for time. But of course, before we kind of get kicked off into the episode, just a reminder, of course, this is a podcast brought to you and produced by ESAC, Electronic Sports Arena Challengers. Of course, for any of those who are interested in hosting their own tournaments or keeping an eye on upcoming tournaments, check esac.gg. I've just registered my team for the upcoming tournament competition Premiership Season 22, which a few of the beautiful members of my chat are part of. But that's my kind of part over, so to speak. How are you today, Mr. Turbo? I understand you were running a little bit late today.
Yeah, it was a bit stressy since I'm participating in a United League competition. So it's United League Reborn. And with my team, Duno 2, so the second squad of Duno, who are playing in the second division, or the first squad, I'm playing in the second one, which is the third division. So very high division. And I was practicing the maps before that. And then the match was at 8. So it was quite stressy. Went out kind of good for me for the lack of practice, but for the next week, I have to practice more in order to keep up with those. And they are still playing one map right now on the coast environment. But yeah, other than that, even if it was a stressy day, I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing fine. I walked for 3 hours today for some reason, just because I wanted to go to the shops. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to walk there. I could get the train, but that's I'm giving myself the extra challenge now. I'm sore, I'm broken, and now I get to sit down gladly and have an excuse to stay here and be a lazy bum for the next hour or so. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I think we've got some topics which, I mean, normally when we're going into this, it's mostly just talking about, what happened this week or what happened last week. But I think we've got kind of an interesting, at least main topic in our hands, which a lot of people have been asking us about, things like the kind of community mood and things like that. We're seeing a lot of open letters come out. But one of the main things we wanted to talk about today was Trackmania's identity. Now, what we mean by that, or what at least I meant by that when I was thinking about this, lying awake at night at something like 2 o'clock in the morning, those kind of random thoughts that sail through your mind while you're trying to sleep, like, why are traffic lights red, yellow, and green and things like that, But so I was sitting awake thinking about, what is happening to the identity of Trackmania. What I mean by that, of course, originally Trackmania was conceptualized for Electronic Sports World Cup, primarily presented as, meant to be a competition, meant to be essentially esport based. Throughout the years, with the inception of, other environments, although I believe those actually came earlier, but through the United environments, through things like Canyon Valley, so on and so forth, and through the years of the likes of TMNF and even Trackmania, Trackmania 2 to an extent, how it's kind of evolved into community competitions, being competitive within a community, being the kind of identity that really this game revolved around. Either it's community-made competitions, it's general community groups, or just simply the communities that revolved around the likes of the online servers and things like that, kind of establishing a bit of an identity for the game, as in when you first thought of the game, you thought about maybe this server that you always frequented, or these competitions that you watch on YouTube, or that you remember playing every, so or so month. But I mean, just before I kind of get into why I thought we're having a little bit of an identity crisis, I mean, what's the kind of words that come to your mind when we think Trackmania's identity, do you think, besides TMGL?
Yeah, so actually I was thinking about TMGL and the identities there. that all identities were consisting of like reactor boost and the ice. But just when you said that, I was like, yeah, it's actually true, because like just 4, 5, 6 years ago, we had tech as the identity, the main identity of Trackmania, where we had all the competitions that were running at tech, and then also like that's the kind of competitive aspect. And then for me as a casual gamer, we had different things like mini LOL, RPG, trial. We had all those things. So when I think about identity, I would say that an identity for me has changed throughout the days or throughout the years, because for me it used to be the solo mode that I've played. Then I went onto a LoL server, and just the thing that I focus on mainly. But right now in Trackmania, we don't have a thing that we are focusing on mainly. Maybe the multi-style that is slowly but surely coming more and more out of that. But then we also had tech competitions before that. So, I mean, kind of the identity we have right now is the identity with the main event being Trackmania Grand League. But maybe some people are not agreeing to that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean,
is it then what you want to?
Yeah,
okay.
In a sense, I think it's a little bit of a weird thing to, say this is Trackmania's identity, and it's something I kind of found a little bit difficult thinking, what actually is Trackmania's identity, and I think kind of Parhelion kind of brings a little bit of emotion there, which I kind of agree with when I think of an identity, is the kind of reason you open the game, the reason why you think to play the game, what you associate with the game, for example, in my early days, it was competing. I really enjoyed competing, and that was the part of the game which I most directly associated with, and that was kind of my Trackmania identity, was a competitor in that kind of sense. But I mean, when I kind of look at Trackmania, especially what shall we say within the past 5, 6 years when I've been part of the game, one of the things that's really kind of led me to kind of seeing an identity change or an identity crisis, so to speak, is when you think of what was happening, who was there, shall we say 6, 7 years ago, and things like that. I think recent events, be it changes to Trackmania Grand League, be it the new Trackmania in general, a lot of things have happened within the last few years, even, roll back to 2018 or 17 and look at, Mania Planet 4, for example, and even Mania Planet in general with Trackmania 2 Stadium. It's created little divides in the community, and that was a topic we frequented a lot when Trackmania 2 was still the main game, as it was about, the divides between TM1 and TM2, the divides between, shall we say, tech dirt and full speed communities and things like that. But what I think has really kind of brought forward this kind of massive shift in identity for Trackmania for me is when I started playing, you had big kind of community figures that are no longer here. I mean, primarily, I say big community figures, at least back then, so to speak. Your prime example being Frostpool, of course. You had big tournament organisers, which are no longer around, be it Frostpool through the likes of FB Weekly. You see the likes of the DDE staff mostly taking a step back. The staff behind a lot of the E-Corp events, the Spartan Cup from Zero to Hero, they're stepped back. They're no longer here. We look even further back, STC / NC, the old, I forget what the admin team was called, but they're no longer around anymore. Even you look back on things like the Maniac 2 websites, where it had like news sites that were being updated by article writers every now and then. No longer there anymore. Trackmania Masters is now going. CPS has went through a big kind of changing phase. I mean, I've kind of looked at that as Trackmania changing its identity a little bit. I mean, when I think of Trackmania nowadays, I don't think it's really recognisable compared to when I started. And imagine being quite a veteran player yourself, you feel the same.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like I said beforehand, an identity over the game is processing, and I think we have on the other hand, we have new event organizers with Hector or just other people. Like I'm just gonna scroll through here and just gonna check Tycoons, for example. So those people were not there when we started this game, I think, and we're not organizing an event. But on the other hand, I think some traditions are dying with people leaving. I mean, you can see it, the TTC every Thursday. It was a tradition for me for over like 5 years. I played 20, 30 TTCs per year. And I think that those things die. This is definitely a setback for the community. And right now we are not really, I don't really have this perk to say, okay, I'm starting the game because of this and this. There was Kaki, there were some other things. There's the Razor Cup that really hyped me up and other things. But I don't know, man. It's a hard question. And I think that the game is evolving and we're all getting older. I mean, you can see that with the community being as old as we are. But we also need new things that have to happen and people need to do those things. But I'm not sure if they will do it that well as they did it in the past.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, when I think about Trackmania in general, of course, it is a game which, let's be real, if we talk about Trackmania ESWC compared to the Trackmania we have now, realistically, we've not got that much differences whatsoever. We're talking small physics updates, we're talking graphical updates, and UI updates. Like,
yeah,
it's still Stadium, it's still the same kind of cart, still the same kind of techniques, it's still the same kind of game, essentially, you know?
Yeah,
it's like, when I think about Trackmania, I think, what constants have I had since I started playing? Or at least what when you look back at VODs from like 2009, 2010, what was always there? And of course, the core gameplay was always there. That kind of formulated, again, a part of the identity of the game for me. I mean, I would be able to pick Trackmania out a crowd, no problem. But other little things which you don't really find in the same format anymore. Even just a simple one like Deadymania. Deadymania isn't a thing anymore, you know? Of course, now you have a kind of records widget, for example, which just tracks things, no matter whether you're playing online or offline, no matter whose server you're playing on, no matter how many people have played the track, things like that. It's really kind of like even little things like that are just not here anymore, you know? And don't get me wrong, I think it's a positive change that we now have a kind of all-in-one location place for records and things like that. Not that I'd like to focus too much on that, but when I think, apart from the core gameplay, what's really left from when I started playing, like I said, a lot of the competitions have changed around. A lot of the people who were playing those competitions have changed around. I mean, we look back at, if I think back to the very first tournament I played, it was a bit easier. The tournament before that, what would that have been? STC 11, I believe that was, or STC 10. I think of some of the top teams back then. I think of Dignitas, which has no players playing the same environment they were as in Tech. No players who play Tech anymore. Acer, no players who play Tech anymore. You think BX3, I think you'll maybe find, like, I don't know, Chiller Side.
Are they even active anymore? Like, Hobby Flyer is not there. Who Chiller Side maybe is active, but other than that, I think the whole squad is like inactive, right?
Yeah, I mean, out with like very small kind of numbers, like for example, the old Führer team that had likes of Omnipots and such. You would have, say for example, Link still around. But I mean, you look at other ones, Penta, which went to PKD, which went to Fury, which went to fucking, I think it's Proxys now or something like that. Like, even still, a lot of the players from that are now new players. They're not the same kind of players that were playing around that kind of time. And I think it's natural that you will see people kind of going in and going out. That's perfectly natural. But throughout essentially the last 2 years, I've noticed a lot of very long-standing teams that have came upon struggles. So we're talking teams like A New Era, which I was a very big part of. Team Q. I've just completely forgot every single other one of them now. But yeah, fuck it. They're two good examples. A New Era and Team Q. And, well, I suppose in general, Tech itself. I mean, you look at a participants list now, and you'll see hardcore power drivers, easy killers. There's two other examples I completely fucking forgot about somehow. But yeah, you look at the participants list in terms of the teams, and if you were to put it to 2015, it would be unrecognisable. I think there's THC, THE, M&M, and I think that might be it. But yeah, like so many teams, even within the last 5 years, which are no longer here now. So many new lineups, which is of course great to see. But a lot of the existing lineups and the teams that were around then just don't play anymore. And I mean, we think, where do they all go? But we know where they all go. They retire.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's the kind of general moving of time which has led to the identity of Trackmania changing a lot, or am I just kind of like boomer mentality saying that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was comparing that one with Call of Duty, and my idea that I've had there, because I played Call of Duty on a very high level as well, and you had this casual experience, and then you had this professional experience, and then you kind of lost the motivation. And I would kind of like put this one in Trackmania like that as well. And of course, that you get older, you have other things to do in life. I mean, I have that one with the organization of this United thingy that I'm playing right now. I just see that I have so little time. Oh, wait a minute. That I have so little time throughout the week, and I have other things to do in life. So maybe we are all a bit grown up and we like grow out of this game. That's like one concept, but also that we don't have an incentive to continuously playing the game. You have League of Legends, for example, where you have a proper ranking system, and you have the long-term motivation for a player to continuously play the game. And this is what we are really missing in Trackmania. Because all that we have in Trackmania is to play with our buddies, to beat our times, to have fun in this game. And of course, the fun will decrease throughout the time. I mean, when did you have the most fun playing Trackmania, Scotty? Was it at the beginning or like in the end of Trackmania?
Oh, well, definitely the beginning. I mean, I think that kind of goes to show by the fact I don't really play it a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought also a really kind of good point for why I think things have changed up a lot in the past few years is that team competitions aren't really as much a thing anymore. I mean, it's very much transitioned over to solo, and I think which Parhelian's been mentioning quite a lot about, and also something that I believe we spoke about a little bit last week, is Trackmania is kind of slowly transforming into a single-player game. You know, I mean, sure, you get online servers, which are primarily casual, you know, just LOL tracks, just easy short tracks, just fun tracks, or whatever. As Parhelian says there, at the top level, people never train with other people. It's all within their own bubble. And even when you were playing in team tournaments, you were only training with your own team, you know? So I think, while it was teams, it was okay because then you had a community within your team, so to speak. People would just come on Discord while you were training, or, well, whatever voice thing, Skype, TeamSpeak, you know, move a little bit further back through that, you know. But yeah, like, you think I think at least what I done in Trackmania back then, which was playing team tournaments. That's how I got into being a competitor, was through tech matches as part of a team. I got into casting through casting team tournaments, and a lot of the casting work I've done has been on team tournaments. Whereas recently, as we've been saying, it's transitioned a lot to solo events. You know, we think the Game World Cups, we think the I forget what the French Cup was called. Is it TRF or is that the Team Cup?
You mean the
CDF? Yeah, CDF. Yeah. We think Trackmania Grand League. We think the main tech tournaments, which were played.
Zero to Hero as well.
Yeah, Zero to Hero. I mean, pretty much everything is all focused on solo now. That's where people are able to make their money from, and that's the events which people are able to thrive most from playing on. And especially in the tech scene, the team tournament kind of scene has died out quite a bit. And I think with teams not really being that shall we say, popular at the moment, I think that's really affected the identity that players would have, even their self-identity when they were a Trackmania player. Like, I was an A&E player, you know? I was an M&M player. You had people who were career players in, say, DAC SP, or players who, you know, were part of this fun group that they identified as playing with us. I sound like I'm talking about, like, you know, gender pronouns or something like that. But you know what I mean? Like, there's just less that people are able to identify with Trackmania now. That it's all just, they'll jump on, they'll train on their own, playing maps which they'll play in a tournament by themselves. You know, they're not playing with a team that they're communicating with. It's, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have one problem with that because the Trackmania Grand League system allows a player to have one team, and every player in this Grand League has a different team. So this means that, of course, you can do team competitions under like some names. We see the Twitch rivals more, of course. This is like one of the team competitions, but I think it will be really hard to bring team competitions back. But the question is, why is that the case? That, for example, 0 to U is not a 2 versus 2, or no, it was man versus man, right? There was a 2v2 competition, and or was it 0 to?
There was twos from Zero to Heroes. There was one which was a duo, and there was one which was a solo.
Okay, yeah, but why did they decide that 0 to Hero is in the second edition, not a solo edition anymore? Maybe the chat has the answer to that. But I think what also is a really good point, and I was thinking about that when I think Massa was saying something on Twitter, like end of August. He was saying, yeah, Trackmania is so like a mental challenge right now. And I've just seen him practicing alone. This is definitely a very, very good point. We've seen Roland and Spam becoming like friends and a duo because of that Trackmania Grand League practice that they put in on the like beta season of Trackmania Grand League. That's how they put in a friendship. And those things are really lacking. And also a thing that is really lacking, and I mean, it's a bit weird, but maybe you will understand my point, is that there is no more color keys anymore. Because when you're on a server, if you are even on a server, you see all those white names and you don't know who's there, and you see in the chat, okay, Scotsman is on the server, and you're like, oh, okay, I recognize him. But on the other hand, you don't really see who is in which team, who is doing that and this and this. And I think also the colored names are really important in this aspect, to see who is in a team with whom and so on. And I think that's a really important point that we forget. I mean, it's only a small thing, but I think it still has to do something with that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there obviously has been a good reason for team tournaments not being a thing anymore. And you look back at, for example, the days where the Dignitas or expert groups stopped competing as much, or the days which the very top players stopped going into team tournaments, is that there was no incentive to play the team tournament other than status, or other than pride, in a sense, that you continued to win the tournament, so you were regarded as one of the best players, in a sense. And I recall, I didn't speak to Link directly about it, but I recall when Planet Key Dynamics ended up dropping their lineup and they were looking for a new sponsor. I remember it being that Link was saying that he had a lot of issues just simply finding a team or finding an org which would support such a large lineup. And I think that was something that Trackmania really kind of had an issue with, is that your lineups for even at the top level would be like 8 players minimum. Now, the amount of organizations that are willing to pick up a team of 8 players is not going to be a lot, and the amount of organizations that are willing to pick up 8 players for a game that brings them next to no exposure is minimal at best. You know, you're talking orgs that are exploiting the players, like Fury done to their lineup, for example. They didn't really support their team at all, and just kind of got them on and got cheap exposure for themselves. But I was always curious to see, why don't we have duo, trios, teams like that, where you would, have a duo that would compete in a tournament, for example. Even, you could have them competing in solo events, but also I would have loved to have seen team tournaments that just simply, say, for example, a duo tournament, and you had 3 players in that lineup, 2 players and 1 sub, there used to be events like that, of course. I mean, we talk things like From Zero to Hero, and I think that would really allow a bit of a kind of team environment to come back into it, because you'd have things like, say, Eminem bringing 4 lineups to that because they've got a lot of players. So they'd all train together, or DAC SP having a lot of lineups, or THE having a lot of lineups, so that they would hopefully then start playing together, or even just with 2 players. Because, I mean, you said there, which is a very important point, is the mentality for Trackmania has changed, that you end up training a lot by yourself. You play by yourself. You don't have other people on Discord now because they would distract you, or their opponents or something like that. It's like,
yeah,
it's, and I know what it's like to train by yourself. I was the kind of player who was obsessed with improvement, and I didn't want any distractions. But it's not a nice feeling. You don't get as much enjoyment out of this. And one thing I do think, which I'm extremely grateful for example, if I hadn't spent all that time in A&E as part of a team in M&M, and I suppose then my stream came into it as another aspect of it. But the majority of the people I met when I was in Prague, I met through being in Trackmania communities.
yeah.
It wasn't all people that came in through my stream. I can only think that if Trackmania was like what it is now, I probably wouldn't have met a lot of these people, because I just wouldn't have naturally associated with them. You maybe talk to them once or twice when you're on a server, but not to
That's
the
it,
point
yeah.
where you're fucking going on holidays like us bunch of nutcases were,
I think that's a very important point that we are underestimating at the moment. That the social aspect, even though it's only like that we're seeing ourselves now, is a huge point. For me, for example, it's also a social aspect when I start streaming and I have like some people who I can have a nice talk with. But I also know when you play TDC on your own, that's like the prime example I come up with. When I play TDC on my own, not stream and just play, I'm just like full tryharding and like I don't really enjoy myself. And if I'm on Discord or if I stream, I have like I'm a little bit more happy, and I think that people are really not getting that this part of gaming is super important, and I hope that people will in the future practice again together or just play competitions again. But right now it seems that everyone is streaming, everyone is like kind of on their own, and now things like the TDC also died. I mean, I've mentioned it, but TDC is not a thing anymore. And with that, also the team competitions and also all the other competitions, for example, the Dirt Cup, the TMO Dirt Cup, and stuff like that. I'm not sure if those things will come back in the future.
Because, I mean, like a few of the little things you were mentioning there, which I think has been so important to Trackmania kind of losing its identity, is losing its kind of community feeling, which I felt was Trackmania's kind of most important aspect, was its kind of community feeling. I mean, we talk, even when, we're talking about Nadeo or and the arguments about that, the argument, for example, when people are arguing against, Hellish or TMGL, like one of the words or one of the terms that's always or that's frequently used when people are arguing about Trackmania is that there has been a massive kind of community involvement throughout the last couple of years. Throughout even the last decade and so, where there hasn't been Nadeo being involved and things like that. And this isn't to get into an argument like that or anything, but it's something people always bring up when any argument about Nadeo seems to surface, as people saying, "Oh well, the community's been doing things for years and years." And as I say, I don't mean to bring it up in a sense to Nadeo bash or anything like that. But when people bring that up so consistently, that the community has been such a large factor in this game, I feel like it isn't in a good place for that to continue. You don't really have communities still being built. You have communities which still last, but you do not have communities that are still being built, which is, I think, one of the most important things. I mean, we've seen efforts being made to that for Trackmania 3, but one of the main things about Trackmania 3 that people have been complaining about is it feels difficult to find things, you know? If I give you an example, so one thing I used to do is I would, on Trackmania 2, I would jump on, check the server list by, you know, whoever was most playing, what kind of servers I wanted to play, what kind of maps I wanted to play, and what kind of people I wanted to play with. And it felt so much easier to find out all of that information before than it does now. Because now you will go on to, like, I think it's lives tabs you need to go on to, or club tabs if you're going into a club room or something weird like this. But anyway, let's just say you're on the server browser. You have, unless it states exactly what type of server it is, you don't really know what kind of maps are being played. You don't know how many players are in it most of the time, because it will say a random number which doesn't end up being how much actual players are in. But you'll click on that and you don't really know who most of the players are, because we're talking about Uplay names, not these names that we've been associating with Trackmania players. And I found myself, playing I can't remember, I played a tech tournament, ALM Cup I think it was, just as the game was kind of getting rolling. And I'm finding people in these lineups and I don't know who they are. And I know every player in this lineup, you know, and I'm like, wait, who's this guy? And but it's because they're not able to change their names, you know, they're not able to customize their names to, you know, say who they are or whatever. I'm having to go and fucking interrogating people in servers like, who's this guy? I saw this guy and I don't recognize his name. He must be fucking fake news or something, you know. But yeah, and imposter. Yeah, that's a timely meme, I suppose. But I think it's not renewing itself, so to speak. It's not, like I said, the main kind of phrase I want to centre upon here: new communities aren't being built, which is a very big concern. Like, I'm part of the UK Trackmania community, which, ironically, upon the words I just said, is kind of building up a little bit at the moment. But I put that with a very big caveat, in the sense that pretty much every single person who comes to that has said that they've been looking for something like this for ages and they've not been able to find it at all. They've not been able to find like-minded people to play with. They've not been able to find like-minded people that they could talk to in Trackmania. These people are struggling so hard just to find a community that naturally fits them anyway, you know? And I think there's just too many barriers between people in general that just kind of weren't there before, I think.
Yeah, I mean, before that, so let's take a little bit of a rewind into 2016. Thanks for the sub. Just saying that for you there, because oh no, never mind. I'm the wrong chat. What the fuck? I'm the wrong chat. What the hell? I was accidentally clicking on someone's chat, and I thought that. Oh, never mind. Forget it. Okay.
I don't get subs. What are you talking about?
Okay. So now someone has to sub. Then it's fine, right? But like back in 2016, I was playing LOL tracks or LOL maps with Teo. Maybe you know him. It's a very good player. I was playing with him the maps every day, like from Monday to Friday or Monday to Thursday every day. And apparently he wasn't there, and I recognized it. But I only recognized it because there was this feature you were talking about. You were in the menu, and you had on the right, you had your buddy list. I coincidentally counted my buddies there. There were 200 people that I had in this buddy list, and they knew when I was on what server I was, and everything like that. And this is so missing right now. You have to guess: am I on this community server? Am I there? Am I doing this? Am I in my club? Am I in solo mode? You only find that out when I'm streaming somehow. You'd only find that out when I'm streaming or anything like that, or if we're communicating throughout Discord. But as you said beforehand, you need to make those contacts before you can meet new people. Because it is a hard thing to do, because I just cannot, let's say, Paul, Paul, me, and Eric wanna play, and Eric and me do not know each other, and then it's very, very likely that I'm gonna join after you on the server, and Eric does it as well, and then Eric is like, "Oh, Turbo is a cool guy," so we get into contact. This is not a thing anymore. If this makes any sense, right?
100%, yeah. I mean, I look back to what for example, how I got into Trackmania, right? So how I got into the scene, so to speak. I used to play on a fun server. It wasn't any technical tracks. It was just like Nadeo type tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing with an old A&E player called Rebellion. And I was interested in getting into the Trackmania scene. I'd found out about tech. I'd started practicing a little bit. And I found out from him how to get in contact with, the relevant way to get recruited in A&E. And I think about how ways I recruited people in Trackmania. I think ways that other people have found teams in Trackmania. For example, Dat Lemondale, a Canadian player. I remember back when he was in short mini server with the name Dat Lemondale looking for a team,
Mm-hmm.
I remember back in the days where you would have people playing for teams. Like one of the kind of defining moments for me when I this is as soon as I found out about tech and I realized I wanted to do it, I went on to a short mini server and I spoke to two people. And I spoke to these two people because I knew they were tech players because I saw their team tags and I associated that with teams they'd been playing in. And that was Nomi from Exception, he was back in the time, a French player, and Schnarch Zappenzauf, or Schwabe, I believe his other nickname was, who was an AT Gaming player. And to this day, I've not been able to speak to these people again, which has really, really annoyed me. As how I found out everything I needed to know about tech. I came onto that server and I asked these guys for advice. I asked these guys, how should I get started? What kind of team should I look out for? What kind of how should I practice? What kind of tracks should I practice on? All of this kind of groundwork to get started on tech. And I only knew to ask them because I knew they were tech players, which I wouldn't know now. I only asked them because I was actually on a server to ask them. Nowadays it's only guesswork. And by the way, big thanks to, of course, Nomin and Schwabe there. I mean, I've unfortunately not seen them since to thank them myself, but I am here because of those guys. A little kind of tidbit of information there. But yeah, but nowadays I don't feel like I have people sometimes ask me, but I think that's because I do have a little bit of a brand in some way. I believe the same could be said for yourself. People recognize you and me because of streaming and because we're well-known players. But I wouldn't be able to identify a player from any one of the tech teams that's out there nowadays if I was a new player. I'd have absolutely no idea, Yeah. I wouldn't know who to go on and ask. I wouldn't know where to go on and ask, Like, in most of the times when you go on servers nowadays, these kind of people that would know are not playing there. They're playing privately. They're playing on, their own private worlds or whatever. I think this is definitely something that needs to change, in my opinion. Do you think this is a serious problem?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you can see it when you just go into the browser. You can see that people are not playing, and I have the same. So I just confirm your thesis. When I didn't know a player, I mean, I was very known in Trackmania Nations, and all the people who started playing knew me because, hey, you are the leader of Luckers, because they have seen people with that Luckers tag being on the top 5 daddies or something like that, and they were like, can I apply, or this and that and blah blah blah. I don't know. They recognized me for my tag, and they knew my clan because it's so infamous. It's ironic because I didn't ever thought that this will happen, but people came to me and were asking me, "Yo, how can I improve and this and that?" And so the same thing with you. And now maybe there are people with different nicknames. We've seen it in Kaki, where we have Adello 6666 and no one knows who that is. No one has an idea, and there is no login. There's nothing. There's only like a hint that you've given, and we could have only guessed who that is. And at the end of the day, it was Dave. So also a very good player. But yeah, it is very anonymous now, the whole Trackmania experience that we have, and also like a little bit like COVID, right? So we're all sitting here playing alone, and some or another has contact either with streaming or just playing coincidentally on a server, but not more than that. But yeah, it is a serious problem, because how can players learn or improve when like no better player is spectating or like helping them? It's a very serious problem, actually.
Yeah. I mean, because here's the thing, right? Why I think this is a problem is, you think what the face of Trackmania is now. I struggle to find the right word for this, but the face of Trackmania at the moment is obviously things like, what's it called again? Trackmania Grand League, Twitch Rivals. That's the face of Trackmania at the moment, is these kind of multi-style tournaments. You know, that's how these sort of things are coming around, and that's what you're seeing when you're looking at the most viewed people on Trackmania. So that's, I guess, what people are beginning to associate with Trackmania. But the thing is, right, this is very superficial to me, and I don't know if that's quite the right word, so I'll try and explain what I mean by that. So, Trackmania Grand League is something you will almost never get to play. So, 99.99% of players will not get to play Trackmania Grand League. Pretty well, an even lower percent of players will get to play Twitch Rivals, because that's only for fucking streamers and their friends, you know? Like, the problem is that the face of this game is so compact and exclusive, you know? It's for this tiny group of people, and it's for this group of people who don't really associate with anyone else. They only associate within their own bubble. You know, you think a lot of the players come from the old Dignitas court. These guys only ever really play with each other. You don't see them on public servers. You don't see them just messing around. You know, you'll only see them through their stream, practicing by themselves, playing in an event or something like that, playing in solo events. They rarely associate with people other than if they're a streamer, but that's how they make money. Of course they're going to fucking associate with people, you know? But why I think this is a problem is that being part of a community was such a massive motivation for people. It's such an extra reason to enjoy the game. Even I found when I started streaming, when I had people who would come in and talk to me while I was streaming, it was enjoyable just being there with people and having a good time as part of a community. When that stops, you're giving people less reason to put hours into the game. Less people will put a big amount of training into the game, and I think that's gonna put a little bit of a ceiling on Trackmania, and especially when you look at, as I said, the top events being so exclusive. I mean, like I said, a maximum of 4 people can get into Trackmania Grand League per year. You know, compared to a gamers assembly where you could have 128 people go in without any lock slots whatsoever. You know, you could have the fucking best in the world going up against, in round 1, you could have them going up against fucking
me.
Yeah, you can throw yourself under that bus if you want, but like I just a green as grass rookie, you know, like in my very first match on LAN, I get placed against Onyo, who only just missed out in the grand final. My very first fucking match on LAN, you know. So
I have an example for that, actually.
Yeah.
To I had from 0 to hero, and there was one person who really sticks out for me. It was Brille. His name was Brille. He was from Brazil, right? He was a very, very bad player, or not good. Let's say he was not good. But we had this
Not
situation.
experienced.
We had the situation that I think someone went through, I don't know, and then we had John, so former AC John, and we also had Dank, Dank Raptor, who we all know him, we all love him. Then the thing was, it was John being finalist, and Dank was 1 round away, and this Brille was so bad, but he denied him, right? He denied John the victory. I don't know how, but it was one of the funniest moments ever, and then Dank took it home, right? So I don't know, I just had it in my example because you can also have fun with players that are bad or not that experienced, right? They can change it all, and I think it's a really, really, really important thing that we have, that we lose this exclusivity. Yeah, you name it, exclusivity. For Trackmania, because as you said, it is so not even me with 15,000 hours in this game is even remotely close of getting into that. Of course, I can't try hard or anything like that, like Muda is doing, but it is such a important thing that we are losing out on those players who are starting with the game or who are just casually playing. That's missing a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think it's like there is question marks being cast over things like, competitions being held in future. Another example being that the Nadio's idea to provide another kind of tournament for everyone, so to speak, was the Trackmania World Championship, which is going to be, I don't know, some point next year, which is going to have half its slots locked to TMGL players, and it's going to be on TMGL maps. So that's essentially just going to get played by the same people again. It's going to get played by Trackmania Grand League players, and then the rest of the 8 people will either be Trackmania Grand League / high level OGL players.
Yeah,
that's going to be the way it is. It's just going to be the same tournament with, I don't know, 4 more slots, for example, and it's going to happen once a year, something like that. This was something I was really hoping for like daily tournaments, for things like Nations League, for a possible matchmaking push, is to bring people into the game competitively who have a reason to continue playing the game. Because at the moment, I think for myself, right? I think for myself in playing a tournament, the only reason I have to play a tournament is if I'm playing with friends, if I'm playing and I'm having a good time. I can compete to get better, but what am I getting better for? There is no team multi-style tournaments, to my knowledge. There's only Team Tech tournaments, and Tech isn't getting any marquee events. So what am I getting better for? I'm getting better for what? Fucking pride, I'm getting better for my ego or something like that. No, you're playing these tournaments because you have fun playing these tournaments. You enjoy Tech, you enjoy playing as part of whatever team you've signed up with. Whereas I feel like if I want to be part of the game's direction, I mean, I would need to change with the times and go into a different style, which is absolutely fine. But I would need to lock myself in a fucking server and start powering hours into, tracks that, I mean, we'll not get into tracks debates or anything like that, but I'll need to power into tracks by myself, and that's not fun. I don't care who you are in Trackmania. I don't care how many fucking hours you put into tracks, whether you're Kappa at LAN putting in 100+ hours for a map pack. You do not enjoy putting that much time into Trackmania. You will put in that much time into Trackmania because you will enjoy what you get from it, but you do not enjoy spending fucking 40 hours in one map. I will
it's like
guarantee
studying.
you. Yeah, it's like but I don't like to compare it to studying, because studying's not something you typically enjoy, But
maybe
Trackmania, you can enjoy playing a track, right?
Yeah.
Unless you play that track specifically for enjoyment, you're not going to enjoy playing that track for 20+ hours. It doesn't matter if you're getting better at it. It doesn't matter. Like, you may get the rush from getting an amazing time on that, for example. But I'm sitting thinking, all I have left is the community to play for, you know, unless my aspirations are going for Open Grand League, which, you know, I'm kind of toing and froing between personally. But unless I want to shoot for an uber exclusive league, you know, an uber exclusive cup, there's nothing for me to do in Trackmania until hopefully a LAN circuit revolves around. And I think I believe I might have mentioned it last week that I thought about it. Accessibility is also a problem for me, right? We've talked about it all the time about this game doesn't feel very accessible to new players, right? I don't think this game feels very accessible anymore, even for players like me, you know? Like, yeah, I feel like there's a few tournaments a year that I can participate in, but other than that, it feels like a lot of tournaments are now becoming, you know, regional tournaments like French Cups, Baltic Cups, which is great. You know, I'm very happy to see scenes growing and scenes being able to hold those sort of events. But I kind of feel on the outside and that side of things, or you see a lot of small grassroots events that you never hear about because the community is so fragmented. You know, I think that there needs to be a lot more community building in Trackmania now, and I don't think we have the tools to do it at the moment. But the problem with that issue is I don't know what to do about it. I mean, is there a solution to it?
Yeah, as always, the long-term motivation, right? But how you want to build it? There's the ranking, but then again, for the rank, let's just take a ranked system. You have maybe a dirt map, a tech map, a full suite map, and then you get the average out of that, and then you get points or you lose points on what position you are. You still have to learn those tracks, right? So you have this aspect in there. The most I train or the most no left I am, the better I am, and it's a hard concept, but I think some daily incentives are missing. That is not referred that the game should be as competitive as it is right now. That we also should play it for the casual point of view. I mean, maybe you remember. Let's just take hide and seek or the chase or like where you had to swap the placements or anything like that. Those things are not a thing in the new game, and those is just missing because. I mean, I remember when I was practicing for a competition, I was like, okay, I practice those tracks, and then I'm gonna play TTC afterwards, something I enjoy, I have fun with, where I can play casually, and I don't mind if I go out in the 10th round, but I just enjoy the company of the players I'm playing with. So just the casual side is missing, and Trackmania right now is only competitive. We have competitions there, here, there, everywhere. We have the OGL, we have the Trackmania Grand League. There are multiple competitions coming up, but nothing really casual. And this is really missing out that we have cups like Shitfest, daily things that are just not in the new game anymore. This is really, really important. Really important.
But I mean, of course, the main problem with it is, I mean, you do still see community projects which people can go on and play, but we've seen a great deal of them not being part of the scene anymore. Of course, TTC being your best example for that, but also a really good example, which of course has kind of faded into the past now, is weekly races. You know, think Throspill's weekly race, think Spam's weekly race, think the Swedo G4S guys done weekly races for like 2 years, 3 years, something like that. Delta had its own fucking weekly race back in the day. And I just sit to think, like, of course, I think about team competitions, and that would be what I would like to see. Because I suppose all of these things are competitions, but they're casual competitions. Unless you're fighting for something, you will see most people not taking it as seriously. So I suppose casual competitions, I'd kind of put these all under, so to speak. And it's like, there's nothing like that in the new game apart from, I think there's like there's like no train cups, like 1 round, and that's the entire cup, or 1 map and that's the entire cup, or fast learners cup and things like that. And as you say, that the main community ones like Trackmania, TTC, like Shitfest, on the old game, you know, like the weekly races were on the old game. And I'd be curious to see if the weekly races now work on the new game, but I don't know anything about that, actually, to be honest. But
me neither.
I guess not, with the amount of shit that goes on at the moment. I mean, even like official servers struggle with 150 players, so I could imagine that weekly races getting 150 players is definitely just not going to work. But yeah, I raise that to you guys as an issue. I raise that as an issue that I unfortunately do not know how to solve. But I think it's something that people really should start talking about. I think that's the important part here. Because I don't think this is all just because of the community losing interest in building communities, so to speak, as much as that sounds kind of strange. I think there's more barriers in place now. There's more divisions around. I think, as I said before, the menu is just a bit of a nightmare to navigate and things like that. The events tab, I mean, the CPS guys were talking about how it took like 2 to 3 weeks just to get their tournament put up on the events tab. I think there's a lot more that can be done, so to speak, but it's going to take people to sit down and think about that. But I don't know. I mean, we've had quite a little bit of a void for the last kind of year or two where we haven't really had this, and part of me thinks, what if the damage has been done? As in, I don't mean that in the sense of people don't want this anymore, but if you think of this way, right? The games came out, and people know what to expect from the game by now. Be it happy with it, be it not happy with it. People are used to what they're doing in the game now. Like, I can't imagine them ever doing it, but you can't fundamentally change the game now. That you never really see that happen. So, like, what's going to happen? Does the community side of things only going to remain on Trackmania 2 or Trackmania Nations or United or something like that? Or are we going to see it getting pushed into the new game? Like, I mean, what do you expect to happen with this situation?
I mean, you already see with Kaki. There will be a Kenyan Kaki. This is no joke.
Kenyan Kaki? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good idea. But just the fact that we have so many different Trackmanias, so many different games, and the communities are so split, I don't see those things moving unless the developer itself, like in other games as well, the developer is taking care of most of the events. They take some of the community members that have a good idea. Let's say, for example, Cam is good with spreadsheets, can do this and that. Then person B has some other. That was a lighter.
No.
Okay.
I'm just peeling a security tag off because
don't kill yourself.
There we go.
But
Peel
yeah, I mean, they are picking the persons and they are organizing it, and they are supporting them. And what do you get as an organizer? You get some Nadeo merch. Wow, cool. You get some Nadeo merch that you can give away. So there needs to be more cooperation between the community and the actual developer, that they have a plan and that they try, okay, I have this concept, but I need that for that. Maybe a server or whatever. That's already enough, right? But those things are really important that we are in need of. So like things that also the community does, and also new ideas, not only but at this point it is really hard.
See, one kind of story which does always give me a little bit of nightmares about this. I've not really talked about it a lot in this podcast, but I've at least spoken to it a lot about people who were kind of interested to know, so to speak, which does give me a little bit of nightmares about how the community could engage more with Nadeo in terms of, shall we say, what they could get from tournaments and things like that. And it was before Trackmania Grand League actually came about. Lou, if any of you are not familiar with it, it's essentially the story of why Mass retired, or why Mass kind of why Mass gave up, so to speak. And forgive me if I ramble a little bit on about this. I'll try and give just the kind of the basics of it, so to speak. But basically, when Trackmania World Championship, I think this started after 2017 when Tech had a gap year, so to speak, from a world championship. So ESL had dropped out of CPS, and there really wasn't much hope for major tournaments in Trackmania at this time. And Mass had been working behind the scenes. If some of you recall correctly, managed to get Giants Cup going with, I think it was some support from Nadeo or eCorp. Managed to get Giants Cup, which was essentially a LAN event held in Paris, which was a fantastic event held, and also took further projects to essentially develop a marquee event for Nadeo, and worked very closely with them for about a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. And as far as if I remember correctly, I would need to go back to, he'd done a massive collage of words when he retired and detailing all of this. But essentially, the gist of it he had, right, is he would have had a year-long event which would have had a unique format, which would have involved multiple I think it was like a monthly event, and I think quarterly or every half year it would have had a LAN event, right? And this would have been with ESL, so it would have been, shall we say, at fucking Cologne or wherever else ESL are doing their events. I don't think it would have been like New York or something like that, but it would have been at big ESL LANs. ESL would have been dealing with the advertisement and things like that, whereas Nadeo would be in charge of the cash prize. Mass had put everything towards the format, the organisation. You know, we all know he's a very stellar tournament organizer. You know, from Zero to Hero and all the rest of it.
He did really good.
Yeah, but so he was working very closely for this in Nadeo, and it was getting to the point where Nadeo were talking about, you know, fashioning a brand new mode just for his tournament to be able to maximize the potential for it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So this was all coming into, you know, right, it's time for, you know, the plans are ready to go. ESL are ready to support like 2 LAN events a year, plus, you know, online events all throughout the year, open to a lot of people and everything else like that. And it came down to Nadeo about, shall we say, end of 2018, as far as I remember it being documented in that, to submit their prize pool for this. And they offered €1,000 for their marquee event to be for ESLs. Basically say, yeah, you do all this shit for us and we'll put €1,000 to it. Now, this is a month and a half or so before they announced fucking Trackmania Grand League beta season with 1 week's notice and say they're putting €15,000 to it. You know, so obviously it's been that they've had another plan in mind, being Trackmania Grand League, right? That's fair. But you need to look at it in a sense that, like you've just completely shat on all the efforts done by this guy. You've completely shat on all the goodwill given by ESL to go and get all this sorted, and you threw that in their face with a €1,000 offer. Now, you think how much money they ploughed into a beta edition. Now, people would have played Trackmania Grand League no matter what. You could have put, for example, you split that straight down the middle. I think it was 16,000 or something like that went to Trackmania Grand League beta season. You could have said 8,000, 8,000. There you go. You've got Trackmania Grand League and you've got this new fucking project that's going to last all throughout the year. That would have fucking saved the tech community as well from going into fucking meltdown in 2019. You know? Obviously, that's one of these what could have been moments for me in Trackmania. But like, that scares me from working so closely with Nadeo, you know? Like, when this guy's offered Nadeo the keys to a massive fresh tournament format, and they've went, no. You know? Like, I laugh and joke about that, but that I would definitely recommend you guys read that. I'll try and look up the link for it, but it's a fucking horror story, man. Like, seriously.
I don't get why they didn't see this as an opportunity, because I think that, let's say they put in 10,000 for that. Will that really hurt Nadeo that much to see what will happen? It's like a gamble. Why couldn't they take the risk of making this thing happen, because you have ESL, you have all the advertisement, you have this, you have that, you have everything, you have even people from the community. I mean, I've said that beforehand, that that people from the community take care of the organization of the cup. Then we have ESL being the platform where it's being held, with the LAN event and everything like that. You have a fresh new thing that was also like just invested for that, or invented, I'm sorry. And then Nadir was saying, yo, 1,000 euro, because I don't get the point why Nadir didn't see this as an opportunity, because it's so promising. You have one of the best event organizers, you have this and that, and I've heard that story for the first time, and I mean, we laugh about that now, but you said it as well. It's I don't want to say pathetic, but yeah, it's pathetic. I don't have any other word. It's yeah. I was actually talking with Dry Baby, aka Zon, in the chat about that as well, about some things, also how other things are going in the community. And it is so sad to see that Nadir is left alone, because they have no ESL anymore. They have some smaller event organizers, but when I'm organizing, or when I get asked by people who are organizing tournaments, they are also struggling of getting even the prize pool in. And the prize pool in Trackmania is not considerably high compared to what other games, despite this being such a good esport title. And yeah, we laugh about that, but yeah, it makes me sad. It really makes me sad that the game is like that, and that they didn't use the, I don't know, 1,000th opportunity they had to get something new into the game.
Yeah. I mean, for any of those who were interested in that little story there, thank you very much, Erwin, for sorting that out for me. Look from page 28 on that document. That's specifically referencing the incident I was talking about. That goes in to talk about how the all the different kind of LAN events happened, and you'll get the information about his involvement with Nadeo and everything like that. But before I kind of digress a little bit too much from that, I think that well, you guys will read up on that a little bit. I think that a lot of community efforts at the moment are feeling like people are backing out of it through the reasons we were talking about before. Not as much time anymore, too many other priorities and all the rest of that, and that's perfectly fair, given that Trackmania hasn't been very rewarding, and especially in this case when you look at when you look at the situation that we're in at the moment, you see people having tried to work with Nadeo for projects in the past, even from small scales to large scales, and having a great deal of issues with it. I mean, even for example, small scales like the ESL the Four Styles Cup organised by Huntmania had a prize pool for it that only got provided to Wouter, I believe it was, who was dealing with that tournament. 8 months after the tournament actually finished. And I only know that because I was one of the people who got the prize money, and it had been that long that I actually forgot what it was for. It just appeared in my PayPal, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, we were actually talking about that in Prague. I remember. Yeah.
So like the whole thing about the, like, from small to large, people have kind of had issues. And because I mean, fair enough, this isn't necessarily about Nadeo bashing, right? I mean, I've heard the little bits about the DreamHack fiasco, but you'll need to tell me more about that, Son, because I've not heard everything else about it. But the thing is about this, like, I remember talking with Softy during the Trackmania Pro League days. So that's when it was just an out-and-out tech tournament, the prelude to essentially the Trackmania World Championship in 2018. So the problem with projects like Trackmania Pro League did eventually get sponsor backing through things like Edie and Watson, I think it was, and Excess, I think was the old team name. But he was always talking about throughout the later seasons how his aspirations were to get Nadeo involved within the project. get Nadeo involved to bring the tournament to the next level, because Softy's aspirations were, of course, to be able to make this a marquee event for Trackmania, because the Mania Planet World Cup in 2016 was a fucking shit show, and there was no World Championship in 2017. So Softy kind of tried to step in a little bit with a tournament that would be very interesting to watch and kind of very interesting to play and be that kind of spectacle that the game wanted. But he was talking about how he needed Nadeo to be involved, because while it was just him doing it by himself, or him and his kind of admin team doing it by itself, it had a very kind of strict ceiling, so to speak. So I think Nadeo involvement is very important, but I hope we're going to see now, with some of these tournament organisers dropping out, namely the ones I've listed before, PTC dropping out, ALM think you're dropping out, Trackmania Masters dropping out. I hope that this then results in like a new wave of tournament organisers, like you're mentioning, people like Hecta, Tycoons, although they've more been focusing on competitions that are aimed more to the French audience, if I do say so myself. But I hope that this will bring in a wave of new tournament organisers, and I hope that then Nadeo would have identified if this has been some sort of mistake on their part and try to engage more directly with tournaments. I know they have more recently providing prize pools for things like Full Speed Masters, TMO and things like that. And I think that had a very positive impact. You had teams coming in, you had Numalop coming in as a result of essentially players creating an interesting spectacle in Full Speed by having the best players coming back to play again, because there was finally something worthwhile playing. So I hope this then Biggs, what the fuck am I talking about? It brings back. I hope there will then come new tournament organisers in, new formats, and the rest of it. I know SRK has been saying he's working on a few things, but I hope that there will be new blood coming in, and hopefully instill a little bit more of the kind of community aspect, which I feel is the identity of Trackmania, because I feel it is a very big problem. But I mean, who the fuck knows at this point,
Yeah,
I have no idea.
We need some fresh wind in the community, and yeah, I'm a little bit concerned if people will go for that, because those competitions, like, let's take the True Talent Cup. It is like, well, it was the thing where people always were coming back to that game. It was the thing that servers were filled to the 200s, 300 players. They split it to 2 servers. So those things are really missing, and I hope that people are able to find it. I was thinking as well of making something like that, but I'm not sure if I can cope that. I know that I have the platform of organizing that, also with my community, but on the other hand, I think it's super stressy to organize a cup every week. So you really need a huge team for that. So if you guys have any idea, maybe they still give us the thing for the server, but I just don't know how to code or anything, right? So otherwise I would do that, or to set up a server. But it is super hard, man. It is super hard, and I hope that this will happen, else the game will go extinct and only the competitive side will be alive. So only some players will be left eventually.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's definitely something that we do talk quite a bit bad about, and I do think rightly so. But like it feels like the only way I can look back, I can look good at this, is by looking back at what we had. In a sense of the experience I had when I was, as I said, coming into the game. And I think a lot of the people who do end up watching this podcast are mostly, of course, new people. Old people, pardon me, who have similar experiences of coming into the game. I mean, the only event really at the moment on the new Trackmania, which you can look at for, a weekly fix of, getting in and, playing with a bunch of other people, is Open Grand League, which at the moment isn't working for a lot of people at the moment. And you'll go into a seeding, you'll go into a seeding phase, and you'll be playing against essentially a random group of players. Not necessarily you won't know any of them, just you won't decide who you play with at the start. And I don't think there's a lot of community building kind of going on at the moment. And I mean, I know I've said that a lot of the times. I think it's something that I would like to see worked on, but I find myself a lot bringing up problems which I don't really know how to fix. And I don't know if that's just because I've not given it enough consideration, you know? But I don't know how to fix that problem, I'm afraid, for any Nadeo folks watching or, you know, budding community organisers watching. I do not have the answer yet. Check back in with us in fucking episode 20 or something. We'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we can think about throughout that, maybe just digest that. Maybe some of you guys will come up with ideas how we can save it or get something like good in there. But it's a really, really hard thing. And it's definitely not a fault of the community, but on the other hand, I mean, what else you want to do? There are all the things that I can think of that have already happened. So people just have to replicate them. I'm not sure if you can bring that much fresh wind into a cup or anything like that. It's a very hard topic. And yeah, I think that's it for me, kind of. You really talked about that a lot. And I mean, you were thinking about that a lot. I was thinking about Trackmania Grand League identities a bit. But just after further consideration, I was thinking, yeah, the identity in the game is definitely shifting or just missing. So should we go into the next topic?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we've kind of talked that to death. I feel like I've said the same phrase like 8 times or something like that. And I mean, I suppose it's kind of part of what we were actually talking about earlier in terms of Twitch rivals. Not taking up a lot of your time this evening, guys, but I mean, in terms of Twitch rivals being announced relatively recently, and also the news about the lineup being finished, essentially, for Trackmania Grand. Take over.
Okay, so we have the lineup being finished.
Right, guys.
We had 3 people being in Spam's team, with Spam, of course, being the leader, then Pack as the Trackmania Grand League player, Simply Nick, and then also Nina joining the lineup from Spam, which I was a bit like, oh, okay, Nina is in there. I'm of course really happy for her, but I was like, okay, she's not that long in the community, but on the other hand, she brings such a good mentality into it with her streams and everything. So I think Spam put a really good pick with her. Also a pick just concerning also the view numbers and everything that has skyrocketed her. So it's a really good opportunity for her to also build up a community and to make something happen. And Spam said a statement, yo, it's more about fun than it's about the actual competition, because we have seen teams like Team, I think, Sadosh with Gwen, Cyramix, and Papu. They were just completely blasted. But on the other hand, Spam team will have a lot of fun. And this is also the thing that we are talking about beforehand. It's more about enjoyment than it's about the competitive side.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that this is a tournament geared more towards enjoyment, but I think that's only because the people who play it are already people who have, well, with very few exceptions, are people who have made something out of streaming. As in, it has a massive prize pool in Trackmania terms. Like, if you put that prize pool up for an open tournament, you would see everyone playing it.
You would see Javi Flyer coming back. You would see Karyan coming back. Right?
I fucking guarantee you it wouldn't be just about fun then. 100%. But, I mean, obviously, when you've got someone like Spam who's making fucking 2+ K a month from Trackmania, then obviously, you know, he can afford to just have fun in it, you know?
But I like the spirit, really. I like it.
Yeah. I'm not saying this in any way to shit on it, you know, Spam for choosing a team which is just about having fun. Or even some other teams who've took a kind of different mentality into it. It's just more that I find there being a little bit of a disbalance in this Trackmania. Fucking hell, man! Twitch rivals, not Trackmania Grand League. Twitch rivals lineup. So we're having essentially 2 lineups which are taking it like full serious. They've recruited the best fucking players they can find, or they're players with massive personalities, like, you know, players or people who are bringing in like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of viewers, you know, Like, see you fucking guys.
Trilux.
But yeah, like you have Trilux's team, which has made no effort to go into this for fun. You know, like they've just hired the best that they could fucking find. You know, like it just seems such a fucking big disbalance to me. Like you've got at least 2 pro players per team, pretty much. You know, you've got pretty much everyone who is a good player of that being a Trackmania Grand League player. So no one from outside of this realm. No one from outside. No one's from outside of that realm is, not a Trackmania Grand League player. But like, I mean, I'm going to be watching this and I'm going to be seeing like a 40, 50 second long map. And then like, you'll have it being in like halves, like the first half will finish like within the first half of a second. And then like the next half will be like 5, 6 seconds behind, It's going to be bizarre. It is going to be bizarre. But it's going to be interesting. But I mean, fucking hell, man. I don't know what to make of it, honestly. Like when in what other tournament are you going to see a lineup of Spam, Pack, Nick, and Nina? Like it would never happen. It's nice in a way like that. You're having lineups coming up like that. But I hate going into a tournament knowing who's going to win. Who's going to get top 2, knowing where places are going to players are going to play. And I think, one thing I was thinking about this? Obviously Twitch Rivals is meant to be for the benefit of Twitch, right? It's not meant to be for the benefit of fucking Trackmania, right? It's going to be good for Trackmania as essentially a byproduct. But I was just sitting here thinking about this. This could have been a massive opportunity for a lot of people in the game to get some recognition. A lot of people in this game to be part of the big scene for once,
Yeah, we had that last week already, right?
Yeah, we were talking about that, and I'm excited. Well, I'm shall we say I'm happy that these people are again getting an opportunity to bring Trackmania to a spotlight again, so to speak. But I just think that it's all the resources and all the viewers going towards something that's not really going to amount to anything. Like we're going to have Twitch Rivals, and then what next? Like, is this going to generate more hype for Trackmania Grand League?
Maybe, or the Combine, or other competitions. Maybe. So,
but no one in it's playing in the Combine. Like,
yeah, but that's also cool. I mean, I just want to make the comparison kind of what is before and after. Maybe there are people who are saying, yeah, I highly doubt that. Yo, this game looks cool. I want to play it. Maybe people will stick to the community, and they will definitely will when they just see Twitch Rivals. I mean, Rivals are getting thousands upon thousands of views. So they are the biggest names playing, and I hope that also other peoples will join the community and eventually joining in the game. So hopefully this will work out. But on the other hand, you mentioned it. There's 8 TMGL players. That's a lot, and then teams that can win it. But maybe there's a team that completely will completely surprise us. You don't know how Nick will play. I think Nick is also someone who is highly underestimated. And then also from Trilux, because I think Trilux is a great player as well. Not as good as the TMGL player, not as good as Ceremix, but I think he can also rely on mistakes and anything like that. So I'm not sure if it's safe who's in the top 1 and 2, but we will see. I think tomorrow we will have more answers with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what Phoebe says is really important about that. It's not a typical tournament in the traditional sense. I mean, obviously in some cases you will end up looking at it that way because it's it's got a first, second, third, and fourth. But I look at it in the same way I look at Trackmania Grand League. It's meant to be a showcase. It's meant to be an event. It's meant to be
like Zerator Cup.
Yeah, Zerator Cup, Trackmania Grand League. That's the way I look at Twitch Rivals. It's going to be a nice opportunity for some of the smaller people on that list, like as we've spoken about Nina, we've spoken about what's his name again, Nick. And things like that.
And Peck as well, right? They're all not partnered.
Yeah, well, but Pat could get partnered if he
Nick
actually ever streamed.
Nick is partnered, pardon me, but
yeah.
he didn't. He was not. So oops.
Yeah. Pac's not partnered because he doesn't want
Sorry,
to be
Nick.
partnered. That's it. But yeah, I'm interested. Well, I don't know. I get the feeling that it's just going to be weird to watch. Like as we've said, 17 maps. Like it's not going to be the highest quality of Trackmania, obviously, but I don't actually know who's casting it. I heard that it's going to be either Geek or Virtual.
Ooh, that's cool.
Which, I mean, they're both good casters.
But the same again, like in this showcase match.
In regards to what? Sorry.
Yeah, so in the showcase match of the Trackmania Grand League, it was Virtual and Geek again.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, I remember I made this argument up a little bit before. I'm not going to go into a caster rant for this, but as far as I understood, they went with Virtual and Geek before, due to essentially that was who their favourite picks were. But I think throwing them together in a cast when before they've showed that, well, they've never really worked together on anything else other than the exhibition, and even still they just get kind of thrown together for the first time. I don't think it's the best casting duo for that, in my opinion. And especially if they're going to be getting a Rocket League caster in, if that's what you mean by RL, then I'm very dubious as to what the actual quality of this is going to be like. I don't know. I do think we had better options there,
Me
casting wise.
Oh, sorry. What?
Yeah, I remember you said
well.
you actually asked about that though.
Yeah,
did you not?
I did.
Yeah,
but they already picked their casters.
Yeah, well, it's quite disappointing if they already picked their casters so early and they pick casters who. I mean, this isn't to say that they're bad casters or anything. Not in a sense, but they are not the best casting duo. That's an easy thing for me to say as a casting aficionado, if I do say so myself. But it's like you don't just slam two casters together and then make something amazing. Like it's something which I think they're going for because Geek is the flavour for Nadeo. And that's how he's getting, some good gigs there. Not saying that Nadeo's just shoehorned him into that. I understand that Geek was very proactive in asking about that, but I'm talking about the other projects he's been involved in. And Virtual being simply the highest number caster in English. That's the way I look at it.
I mean, you can see when either like Riolo and me are casting, or us both, you just feel that there is some sort of synergy, that we are more than just like working partners or like partners in crime. You can see that we are friends, we have a bond, and this is really important to get if you are casting with someone. It is really important that you create a bond, also that you like know where the weaknesses are, that you like go over it and like take it all very chill. And I'm not sure if this will happen with both of them. I hope that this will happen, but I mean, I didn't watch the other cast, the exhibition match, but I'm not sure how the cast there was. But they're picking it for your named reasons, so it's a bit weird. And maybe the other casters that are casting at the moment are left aside. Take me, take yourself, take Cousin, take Jabzo, take someone else, right? They are left aside, or even seen as Apple. They don't have the chance to cast on the big stage, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Because I mean, I think that does suck, definitely. But I mean, as I said, I don't want to turn this into me ranting about casting again, for sure. But it is a topic in the sense that, for Twitch rivals, when they've essentially just handpicked their caster duo, just, I don't know how they've came to that choice personally, whether it was just, I heard that they picked Virtual and Geek was the first to ask. That's one of the things I heard. So that's how they kind of came into that, which I do doubt a little bit. But I mean, it's, I wish I saw the best casters or the best casting duos getting the best opportunities, but the reasons for people getting opportunities in Trackmania seems to be very much different from why they actually get opportunities in casting. But I mean, yeah, that's just a kind of personal rant for me. I suppose the proof will be in the pudding tomorrow. When is it tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it is tomorrow.
When
It's
we
tomorrow.
actually see the tournament, or well, the showcase itself, so to speak. But I'll watch it if I'm not working, I suppose. But I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of. I've kind of had enough of showcases in terms of Trackmania Grand League, so to speak. Like, I'm kind of at the phase where I'm itching to see a proper competition. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm waiting for, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I will probably watch it as well. I will rewatch it. But for me, it's more about the entertainment factor than it's about anything else. So maybe I'm just going to watch the final and see. Yeah, I mean, we're guys, so to clarify that also from my point of view, I'm really happy that Virtual and Geek are casting. They are both very good casters, right? We are not jealous or anything. It's just a thing that, yeah, like that there's no transparency between us. That like there's like no one coming to us, hey, maybe you want to cast it, or hey, they're inscribing for that place and saying, oh, there's a spot to do a caster, and then two duos could like apply for that. I didn't even know how to do it, so that's why I texted him on Twitter. And you don't have any like way to go to and like apply yourself to a cast. I'm really happy that they're casting. Think they will do a good job. Not sure how good they will synergize, but in the end of the day, it will be a nice tournament, and it is their chance. It's their opportunity to shine bright and maybe develop themselves as a caster. So that's really cool. And yeah, let's just leave that topic. It will be fun tomorrow, I think. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Trackmania Grand League. So we had, I think, the most interesting step I have seen in the entirety of the Trackmania Grand League the prior Sunday. And I think that we had everything there. We had thousands of an overtake. We had a 100th difference between Tween and Pack. We had so many mistakes, and eventually there were 3 people who were keeping their points. Gwen winning it over your boy Evon, and who was in third again? It was Tween, right? Or no?
Kappa.
Kappa, yeah, Kappa. Kappa won the last map. True. I remember. True. So now we have the situation that actually the Trackmania Grand League is interesting. Yeah, I'm opening up the ranking as well right now, because it is so close. I mean, just concerning the beta season and season 1, where most of the playoff spots were already determined on step 4 or 5, we have a very, very close situation right now. So what do you actually think about that? Do you think that there will be more hype, that we see a surprise, that a downfall and upfall, a similar step like last week, or what is your expectation going into the next or into the last step?
Well, going into the last step, I mean, I think the playoff is, of course, obviously you're going to be focusing more who's going to be in the top 8, and that's the battle which is most important at the moment. And I think there's quite a lot of people who are still part of that battle. But yeah, going into step 8, I think we're going to see a small group of people who are going to be putting a hell of a lot of effort in, and probably about, I'd say, half and half. The other half of people who just aren't going to be putting in any effort at all. Now, something I noticed definitely from last step is you're seeing the players who are comfortable at the very top. So like Carl Jr., Papu, and so on, they're not putting in as much effort.
Yeah.
And that's very, very clear to see. There's no reason for them to. They're not winning €100 for each step or whatever it was. Or sorry, each map. Or I can't even remember how that all worked out. But
100 per map.
The benefits to being in a good position when all said and done aren't really that clear, and they were able to build up such a massive points lead early on that essentially they don't need to put in any effort anymore. They don't have, like, Carl Jr., Papu and Gwen could just afford to no-show the step and they'd be fine. The people at the very bottom, Bren, Riolu, and Matt.
Yeah.
they've got no hope of getting in anymore. I mean, here's the thing. If these players were capable of getting 100 points in a step, they would have done it by now, you know? I think that everyone's from essentially 6th down to, shall we say, about 11th or something like that is going to be putting all the time in they can. But other than that, I think it's just going to be fucking mediocre performances again from the rest of them, which is disappointing. But again, I find that a little bit of a fault within the format. But still, I think it's still going to be a very interesting step, and there's going to be a lot of potential for points where there wasn't really potential before, because people like Carl Jr. and such aren't putting in as much effort at the moment. But it's not really something I like to be saying for the last week, that I only expect really 50% of people to actually give a fuck. Like, that's not really a good prospect.
Yeah, I mean, just consider it was Scrappy who lost his points just in this last identity. If he would have gotten, I think, 33 points he had, look how close this fight would have been. Scrappy would have been on P9. And I think as well that players like, I think Gwen has shown us that he went home with 58 points. And he will definitely be a contender because he has those first 4 maps in his blood. But then Carl Jr. and Papu, yeah, I definitely agree. After those wins of them and some mediocre performances, they thought, oh yeah, I'm kind of safe, and so I don't have to do that much anymore. And then also, I think Pack kind of wants to take his revenge. He maybe wants to win it because he was on holiday and he had 48 points on step number 5. So I think he is one of the contender who will still put some effort in. But then you have the players in the bottom with Bren, Riolo, and Matt, who are looking really, really bad. And they have no incentive to practice anymore, really. They can, of course, make it if they win every map. But now it will be really important for the players from P11 to even 5 to just keep your points over the entirety of the race. That you go home with 40 plus, 30 plus, 50 plus points to keep your spot or to maybe get that one. So I think we will see the decisions on the map 5 and 6, of course. But of course, also before that, if you go home with a lot of points on the first 4 maps, that will also be very important.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's definitely going to come down to specifically, I think, the last 3 or 4 maps, because I think people like Evon, who are a little bit further behind, need a good points advantage over the people who are ahead. Because, of course, I mean, if they don't get any points, then sure, it'll only take a map or 2. But if they do get points and they lose them only, like, there's a few people who, if they lose it at some point, they're going to be in big danger. But if they don't, then you're going to need quite a big points haul to actually overtake them, which is the important point there. So I'm very interested to see what the players in that kind of bubble have in store for us. And yeah, it is something I'm actually feeling a little bit hyped up about. I mean, I was looking at Evon's performances throughout the weeks, of course, as of course I'm casting for Team Secret, and he was getting better, and he did get the step which essentially I would say, without trying to be biased, that he did deserve. He did map wins and he's had the fastest laps before, but he was only getting 10 points or something like that, whereas now he finally got a good points haul. I think it was 47 points or something like that, overall second in the step, which finally got him essentially the points which his performances and some of the steps were justifying. So and he needed that, because otherwise he wouldn't even be in contention for points now. He wouldn't even be in contention for a playoff stage now. Kind of Yannex's stage, where again Yannex would need essentially everything flawless, or it's going home, I suppose.
Yeah, I think also Evon is one of the players that has been underestimated just before the thing has started here, and he was always, like, also when I've casted him, one of the fastest. He was a contender for Aurel, who was also playing those competitions, and now it's Evon and Aurel, just those names being in top 9 and 10. So they can eventually snipe Massa and Spam away. So those experienced players, Massa and Spam, and also the Aurel, who would have been on 5th position, if I recall correctly, if he would have not lost, if no point loss would have kicked in. So Aurel being the biggest loser, losing so many points in this whole competition. So I think that Aurel has a good chance, but also Evon, you've mentioned it, he has very good pace, and Massa and Spam will definitely get pressurized by them. And also Kappa, who's not safe at all, with 114 points, being only 7 points ahead of Massa and Spam, who are both tied with 107 points. So it will be a very interesting step. And also Afi could still go out potentially, but I think that's what we're going to see on Sunday. But I'm really hyped about that. Really, really hyped.
Yeah, and as always on the Sunday, well, I say as always, as of the next week, essentially, you're going to be able to see it at my channel, where I'm going to be casting at Team Secret, and over there, you're going to be able to see it for M&M Gaming UK. So definitely tune in, guys, if you want to be keeping up with Step 6 and want to be seeing, essentially, if any of our kind of predictions or thoughts are going to turn out to be true. As with it coming up to Step 6, this is the last chance saloon for the players, and it's going to be at Sunday, 8 p.m. So, as I said, Team Secret for me or M&M Gaming UK for Lovely Man to either my left or right. I cannot remember. But, I mean, I think that's us kind of ran our course a little bit for today. I mean, before Erwin falls asleep, because it's like pretty much midnight over there. And before I fall asleep as well, because, I'm old, I'm a boomer now. Yeah. I've passed a quarter century, guys. It's GG for the late nights, But yeah, going to see us, of course, as I said, every week. Been thinking about also, I'll run it past a possible time change, but I'll speak to my fellow LT tiers about that first of all, to make it a little bit more accommodating for you guys. But yeah, we'll look into, we'll be back, of course, next week, not to worry. Same time, same place. We won't change anything just yet. Check out at TMScotsman, of course, for future podcasts. As always, be uploaded on this lovely man's YouTube channel for the VODs, and also don't forget to check him out on Twitch and I believe Twitter at LuckersTurbo. And also, of course, don't forget, for any of those who are wanting to get involved in tournament organisation or keeping an eye on the most recent tournament and upcoming tournaments, check out esac.gg. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by esac.gg. If it wasn't here, then I certainly wouldn't be here. Or maybe I would, but it would be significantly lower quality. I think that's fair to say. But, I mean, that's been pretty much everything from me today, guys. Anything else from Mr. Turbo?
So if I could watch a stab on Sunday, I would watch TMScotsman stab, because this player, Evon, and this caster, high quality. So go ahead, watch it. Of course, Peck can snipe in the win, but I think I would watch Scotty for this weekend if I could pick one, or Aurel, but I'm not able to speak French. And I hope that if he's making it into the playoffs, that we are able to do a cast the event, because I think it's ruled like that the people who are with a player in the top 8 can cast it like in the combine match. So I hope that we can cast together, but we will see. We will figure that out. And yeah, really, really nice, and nothing more to say. I'm just really hyped for Step 6, also for Twitch Rivals, and that's where we're gonna talk about next week, I think. So Tuesday, 9, if nothing will change throughout the week, but we will keep you informed on Twitter and also in my streams or in your streams. So thanks all for watching. With that, I will just have the last word, or you want to say something more? Okay, so thanks all for watching, and we will see ourselves on the next Tuesday. Goodbye.